There's no bark, no growl, nothing.
Hunted by a pit bull.
My foot just got clamped down.
The dog did what he was supposed to do.
Where do you get that idea?
A missing tricycle, a vicious dog bite, and a thick boot that saves the day. Plaintiffs Kelly and Stephen Richards are suing their neighbor for medical bills. Defendant Monica Taylor says the plaintiff brought on the attack herself. Now it's Joe time.
Mr. and Mrs. Richards, you are alleging that Mrs. Richards was bitten by a pit bull owned by Ms. Taylor.
Yes.
All right, and you also, as part of your damages, are seeking compensation for having to install a power opener in your garage because you felt it was hazardous to be exposed to the defendant's pit bull, who you allege was running at large in the front yards of the homes.
Correct. And I've contacted animal control numerous times, and other neighbors have expressed to me in regards to concrete being let loose, and I've had
That's the dog. That's your dog, right?
Yes,
is that your dog? Wait a minute. How do you know
the,
whether she contacted them or not?
Because I have the reports here.
That's only, what you've submitted is only one particular incident. But why don't you hold your point?
Okay.
And we'll come to you.
Okay.
Okay, so I've had problems when I'm trying to load the two babies into the car or unload them from the car.
What kind of problems?
When I go out to the car, concrete would come over and kind of corner me and growl, and his hair would rise up, and he'd start barking, where I had to run into my house or to the driver's side so I wouldn't get attacked by the dog.
You felt you're in danger.
Not true
Yes.
at all.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Be polite. Wait your turn. You'll
Yes,
get it.
sir. All right. Thank you.
So pulling into the driveway, the dog has also cornered me where I've been scared and could not get out of the vehicle.
What happens on the day in question?
Okay, well, on March 27th, it was a Saturday, we left our house for a few hours to go to the store. Our 7-year-old left the tricycle out in our front yard. We came back 3 hours later, and it was gone. So the next morning, it really got to me because it's an expensive tricycle. And so I went ahead and made a police report that morning at 10 a.m. And I do have that with me as well.
All right, you submitted a copy of that.
Yes, and so that day, after I submitted the police report, we were working in our front yard. I went inside the house to go change the baby's diaper. I kept hearing like a squeak come from the backyard. So I went up on my bed, looked out the window, and it goes into Miss Taylor's backyard. I saw her grandson riding our tricycle. So I have pictures of the grandson riding our tricycle. So I went ahead, and I was just shocked. I was like, why would a neighbor steal from us? So I went back over, and I said, Monica, you need to bring our tricycle back. That is not yours. She told us, and at this time my husband, Steve,
and before you interrupt, I know you say she was cussing and hollering about it. Okay, go ahead. Now, keep going.
So she then came up with a story that she actually thought it was for free.
For free?
Yes, because it was left in our front yard. And I said, no, the neighborly thing to do is to come and knock on the door and say, this is left out. Are you by chance getting rid of it? She then changed her story and said that, well, it was found in her yard that morning, so they assumed that we were giving the tricycle to them.
So that's another story. I haven't heard that one, but in any event, go right ahead.
During this time, I had no clue that concrete was there, the pit bull. There's no bark, no growl, nothing. And all of a sudden, my foot just got clamped down, and I knocked down to the ground, and I kept trying to tug because he had a hold of my foot, and I just thought he was going to attack my face and just keep going at it. So I'm pushing myself on the ground and finally got my foot tugged away. Meantime, Miss Taylor and her daughter are just standing there, not saying anything or doing anything. So we went inside our house, called the police. Animal control came out. Miss Taylor's daughter, Quanika, loaded the dog into a car, and they left.
Before animal control
Before animal control could get there, because I did let them know. I said, I'm calling the police. This is not okay.
And don't you interrupt.
So
now you're saying that you had an exchange with the defendant's witness. When did that happen?
Of her saying that she would kick my...
Yes.
That was after...
you call a baby
You shut your mouth. Now, before you get out of hand, let me put it this way. There are various California laws, including criminal, that apply to disrupting these proceedings. So I suggest you stop that. Now, go right ahead,
So
please.
when, before animal control did get there and before Quanica did lift concrete into the car, she came over with the tricycle and with her son and kind of like took the tricycle and kind of pushed it down on the ground and looked at my husband and said, "I've been nothing but nice to your wife. She is now being a." And I thought, well, how are you being nice when you're stealing from me? Your dog just bit me. You don't apologize. You don't ask how I'm doing, and you're just standing there. How is that being nice?
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
So, as the hose went through here, this is what I was trying to find out, if the hose went through where.
There's nothing to do with a hole. We're not talking about a
Right. A
puncture
bite mark
wound.
through the shoe.
We're talking about a crunch.
A crunch, okay.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff says she was in her yard when her neighbor's pit bull poked his head through her fence. She says the dog clamped down on her foot, and what saved her from serious injury was her boot. Let's take a look.
You have a medical bill here that you've submitted, $394, and also you're seeking a replacement cost for the boots.
Correct.
All right, now, Madam Sonia, would you pass that item of footwear up to the arbitrator, please?
Will I be able to see that boot?
All right.
Okay. So, as the hose went through here, this is what I was trying to find out, if the hose went through where.
There's nothing to do with a hole. We're not talking about a
Right. A
puncture
bite mark
wound.
through the shoe.
We're talking about a crunch, a squeeze.
A crunch, okay.
Now, you have the floor.
Okay. Are you sure?
Don't get cute.
Okay, but anyway.
Be creatively
Okay.
cute.
Basically, what happened was the night before the Richards had a yard sale, as they said. Kelly and Steve were not at home, so I pushed it up into my garage, the trike into the
Why?
garage. The way our houses are shaped, they're different. I just pushed it in there, left to go get my son. Came back home in a nutshell, forgot about it. Laid down early in the morning. When all of this happened, I heard Kelly yelling
I'm
at my
looking at
grandson.
Exhibit 1 from the photographic or demonstrative evidence. It's your grandson on
Right.
their trike
Right.
in your backyard.
Correct.
Now, how do you explain that?
Well, I'm trying to explain every time you keep cutting me off.
Well, you aren't
Just
going
like
on
okay.
anything relevant. Get
Okay.
to the point.
So what- okay.
You're at the fence line. I'm leading you back to the fence line.
Okay.
Now,
So at that time when she was yelling, kicking the fence, it said she's going to have us arrested and this and that and the other. My dog was in the garage. He came out, snapped her on her foot. Okay.
was she physically
So-
threatening you?
but then our fence
Was she
over.
physically threatening you?
Yeah,
you
not
said she was
physically,
calling
it
to call the
but she
police.
was threatening. She gonna threaten us and she gonna throw us in jail.
So what
And
happened if your
kicking the
daughter
fence,
ran
so-
out and hit her?
So the dog did what he was supposed to do. She kicked
What do you mean
the
he
fence
did what
on
he's
her
supposed to
property.
do?
He did
Where
what
do
he
you
was
get
supposed
that
to do.
idea? Where do you
Okay.
get that idea?
She was
you
yelling
couldn't
at
even
her.
done what
Okay.
the dog did.
Okay, excuse me?
How can the dog do legally what you can't do legally?
Okay.
Nobody's threatened to get physical with anybody. The threat is I'm calling the police and animal control.
Okay.
Or what
Right.
the hell are you doing
And
with
then-
my son's trike over here?
Okay. And I tried to explain that just like I couldn't explain it to you just now, not giving me a chance. I couldn't explain it to them. Two of them yelling at me.
So
But
the
they
dog
kicking the
can
fence.
attack her
The dog
and use
came up
physical
and
force
snapped her.
that you couldn't. You couldn't have hit her.
No,
She
why would I
couldn't
hit
have
her?
hit her. So why can your dog bite her? Oh,
Okay.
that's what the dog's supposed to do.
No, she was on our property kicking the
That's
fence,
why,
yelling at my
oh,
grandson,
yeah.
yelling at my
by the way,
grandson,
the
and
fence
yelling
line
at me.
is
So my
halfway,
dog did what he
it's
was supposed to
down
do.
the property
Now-
line. Part of the fence faces her property.
Right.
She
Both
didn't
sides.
kick you?
Right. This line goes across.
And by
There
the way,
was a slap.
your
You're
dog,
not
for the
trouble.
preceding period of discussion here for at least 1 year, has been running at large with no
No.
leash
And I
in
have my
various
neighbors,
people's
I have
front
my
yards, and there are
witnesses.
apparently a lot of children in the neighborhood.
No, she got a lot of children.
Okay,
Everybody
you have
else,
a 2-year-old.
everybody else got
You
one
have
or
a
two.
2-year-old grandson.
Everybody else
Okay,
got-
put the
yeah.
chart up. Put the
Okay.
chart up. This is not dog bites, crunch like we're talking about. This is, they
That wasn't
use
a
down
crunch, it was a
here
snap.
gross bodily harm, or some states say serious bodily injury, or death. 2/3 of that total with pit bulls is children under the age of 10.
Right.
So where is this? You have all of these young children in the neighborhood. You had an animal that you don't keep on the leash.
No, the dog do be on a leash, but the dog was not
and
on a
it's
leash
running
then.
free in the front yard, and there
the
are
dog was
other
not running
reports.
free in the front
So
yard.
the bottom line is, I'm listening to you. Then you made the gratuitous remark, and that's what he did. What he was supposed to do. That's what he was trained to do. All right, that's it.
But she was
so the bottom line is if that's what the dog was supposed to be, you created a nuisance. That means it's intentional conduct, which brings into play punitive damages. $778.30 and $2,000 punitive. Your total recovery is $2778.30, and that's pathetic, lady.
That's crazy.
That's the award. In done deal. Out of here. Bye.
Well, remember, it's good fences that make good neighbors. A fact that became concrete when the dog of the same name stepped up this neighborhood drama. The defendant is bitten this time. Plaintiff gets the judgment.